Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today we have got updates on the health protocols on Princess's website for sailings from the US and Canada, from sailings out of the United Kingdom, as well as sailings out of Europe. And so I just want to bring everybody up to date on this. There are no huge changes, but there is some clarification that I think is really helpful for anyone that is going on one of these cruises. And quite frankly, I think it is really wonderful. Some of the little changes that they've got to let us know what to expect and helpful testing. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of our Let's Go family members, and also welcome to all of you who are new. We are really glad you found us, and we hope you'll stick with us. If there's anyone who hasn't subscribed yet, we would love you to subscribe to our channel. We have grand plans for this channel, as well as what we hope to do with this amazing community here, and so we hope you will join us, and we really appreciate your support. So first of all, I'm going to start with sailings from the US and Canada, since overall that is what the most people do, and then we're going to move on to the UK and Europe. So first of all, as usual, everyone knows that if you're going to sail right now, unless you have an exemption, you need to have your full doses, you need to be fully vaccinated. And so in order to do that, you need to have either one of the Johnson & Johnson or 2 Moderna, 2 Pfizer. And then there are others on the list, like you can have 2 of the Sinovac, 2 of the Sinopharm, 2 of the AstraZeneca as well. And on the mRNA vaccines, you can switch out, like if you have 1 Pfizer and 1 Moderna, that is okay. And so I just want to let you know that you need, if anyone is new here, that you do need to be fully vaccinated, or else you need to have an exemption. You need to show proof of that at the terminal. You need to show also proof of a negative COVID test. And so those requirements have not gone away, and indeed the cruise lines do not require a booster right now for sailings out of the US and Canada, but it is highly recommended. And if you are going to have the booster, please make sure that you do it at least 7 days before you sail. The next thing that I want to talk to you about are those exemptions. So Princess points out that they still continue to sail with at least 95% of the passengers fully vaccinated. And so make sure that you know that if you are not vaccinated and you want to sail, you have an exemption. Otherwise, they'll just turn you away at the port. So that is that. And if you want one, you have to call Princess directly. It's 1-800-PRINCESS and talk to someone there and start that process. They say they are given on a first come, first served basis. And usually it's just for medical or closely held religious beliefs. Now, for voyages that include Canada, and this is really big, it says, please note that Canada is not currently supporting a process for exemptions to vaccination for voyages that include Canada for non-Canadian citizens. Cruises beginning or ending in Canada or calling to Canada require 100% of the guests to be fully vaccinated, except for children under 12. And so for the longest time, they have said that they were not allowing exemptions for cruises that were departing from Canada. Well, now they include all of the ones that are stopping in Canada anywhere. And so I would love to hear from any of you if this is a change in plans for you, because some people have told me that they've got exemptions for these cruises to Alaska that stop in Canada, and they had kind of just planned to stay on the ship. But I would love to hear, and see, I don't know if y'all are from Canada or if you're from the United States and this is going to change any of your plans. And so I would love to hear from you in the comments about that. The other thing that I wanted to make sure everyone is clear on, fully vaccinated guests must show the COVID-19 vaccination, proof of that at the terminal to boarding. Failure to show that, it means you're not going to be able to get on the ship. Along with that, they point out that guests should always ensure that they understand all requirements to travel from their home country to the destinations they plan to visit. So for people who are traveling from the United States or other countries, this means that if you are going to go to Canada, you need to do the ArriveCan app. And I've got a video all about that, so we will link some of the videos that we've done about that underneath this video so that it's easy for you to watch. It's a really simple app. It's not hard, and so just make sure that you do it, and we'll talk more about the requirements on that in just a minute. The other thing that I want everybody to make sure is yesterday I did a video about the attestation that you need to do to return to the United States. So this is for U.S. residents, and it's as well as for anybody else who is coming to the United States. You have to do this attestation. And yesterday, quite frankly, my video didn't get quite as many views as I was expecting, just simply because I'm worried if everybody knows about this requirement. Not that I'm the fount of all knowledge at all, but just make sure that you know about that so that you're not ready to get on the plane and you don't have that, okay? The next thing that I wanted to let everybody know is it says guests sailing are required to be fully vaccinated. Documentation of recovery from COVID-19 or a blood antibody test are not accepted in place of a primary vaccination series. So if anyone was hoping for that, that's just not available right now. Once again, 2 times in the protocols, they state the fact that Canada is not allowing exemptions for passengers who are departing from Canada, visiting Canada on a port of call, anything. So be aware of that. Now let me talk to you about the COVID-19 testing requirements. So for quite some time now, at least, I would say a couple of months, they have had the option that if you, there's 2 different testing options, well, time frames, I should say. So if you're fully vaccinated, meaning that you have received one of your Johnson & Johnson or 2 of the other allowable vaccines, that you could do your antigen test within 2 days of embarkation and 3 days for a PCR test. If you are up to date with all of your vaccines and you have had a booster, they say that you can have 3 days for your antigen test as well as 3 days for the PCR test. And if you are not vaccinated and you have an exemption, then you need to do a PCR test within 3 days. I want to point out that on all of those things that I just told you, Princess tells you those numbers in days, okay, for all of that. Now, this is a little bit different for sailings that embark in Canada. It says, based on current Canadian requirements for cruising, all guests 5 and above will require a medically observed viral COVID-19 test taken before boarding. And like I said, voyages that embark in Canada. So it says within 2 days for an antigen test and 72 hours for a PCR test. So here on those embarkations from Canada, it is 72 hours. It is not 3 days, okay? So it says also children aged 2 to 4 who are not yet eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine will require a medically observed negative PCR test within 3 days of embarkation, plus a complimentary antigen test that will be taken at the terminal. And then once again, the reminder, make sure that you know what the requirements are traveling to and from your home country. So this is great. Now we're going to talk about what the testing requirements are for people who are doing those cruise tours. So it says based on what their requirements are for cruise tours that begin with a land tour. So you're going to do your land tour, then you're going to hop on the cruise ship. Guests will not need to be tested prior to their land tour. We will facilitate and cover the cost of testing for these guests towards the end of the land tour prior to their embarkation on the ship. So no testing is required for disembarkation in Vancouver. So hopefully that helps everyone. And then finally, for cruise tour guests that end with a land tour, you are not required to get tested prior to that land tour. So when you get to the end of the cruise, you'll just simply get off and head off on that land tour with no extra testing required. So this is marvelous. They used to say that you would have to find a COVID test before you got on the ship, but not anymore. They're just going to handle that testing for you towards the end of your land tour. So all of you out there, Kay, and all of you who are going to go on a land tour and then hop on a ship, no worries anymore. We've also got some updates regarding the testing that is going to be required. So how to get that testing. They go through and they point out the ways that we have known for the longest time that you can get tested at your CVS, your Walgreens, your state health department, Instacares, any place like that. They also talk about the tests that you can order from Optum. They point out that they are $69.99 for 2 of them, and those are really handy to do at home or to travel with, and then do when you're within the time frame to get your test to board the ship. They also have, and I think this is great, remember the docgo.com that I told you all about? And we've known about that option for a while now. If you were sailing out of San Francisco or out of Fort Lauderdale or Los Angeles, you simply go on their website, docgo.com, you sign up for a test, and it's $100. And as you do it, you just literally sign up, and then you pick the ship that you're going to be on the date you're going to be on, and it's as easy as that. But they say that for voyages departing from the US and Canada through July 31st, they are going to be able to have that option. Those are antigen tests, so if you're someone that requires a PCR test, if you're not vaccinated, you're going to need to get it somewhere else. But I think that's a marvelous option. It's right there at the port. It's $100. That is cheaper than the testing that we are hearing about at the Fairmont and right close to the port there in Vancouver that they talk about. But it costs more than the testing is at the Vancouver airport. Just throwing all that out there. And in Fort Lauderdale, they've also got that lab doc, and I think those tests are $49. And so that just gives you an idea, but I really love that they've got this option for people that need it. Okay. Let's see. Then the last thing I wanted to make sure, well, first of all, masking is the same. It's recommended but not required. They say that in some venues of the ship it might be required, but that will be made clear, like with signs and with announcements from the crew. And so that is everything that we have got on the updates from the US and Canada sailings. I do want to add that for sailings from the United States, from Canada, from the UK, from Europe, the wording that they have for people who are not vaccinated is the same. You're going to need to show that PCR test. You're going to need to show that PCR test within within 3 days of boarding. You're going to be tested again at the port, and the really important thing for you to remember is that you are going to need to stick with Princess excursions, and they say this is based on requirements of the ports, but you're going to have to stick with those Princess excursions, and you're not going to be able to explore the ports on your own. So if you were someone that has one of these cruises booked and you were really counting on being able to explore the port on your own when you got done with a Princess excursion, it sounds like right now that's not going to be an option. I honestly hope that as we move into the summer, I really hope that that goes away so that people can go ahead and explore on their own who are not vaccinated, but I can't tell you what's going to happen with that. So just make sure that you're aware of that. The other day I did a video talking about what I think about that and what you could maybe consider if you're not vaccinated and that option bothers you. So I'll find that video and link it under here as well. So now we're going to kind of go through what the changes are for sailings from the UK and from Europe, and a lot of them are very similar. So I've got like my sets of papers here side by side so that we can go through it. So first of all, on the sailings from the UK, they point out which cruise ships they apply to. I looked it up. It is all of the sailings out of the UK this summer, and the same with the sailings from Europe. This covers all of them so far. And first of all, this is the same for sailings from UK and from Europe. It says boosters are required for guests 12 and older whose final dose of their COVID vaccine is older than 9 months or 270 days ago. So you're going to need, if you've got one of these cruises booked, go right now, well, when the video is over, go look and make sure of when you got your vaccine. If it's older than 9 months, you need to get a booster, okay? And so go ahead and get that in plenty of time before you go. And I want to point out right here that Gordon and I have had our booster, and they are recommending, you know, the second booster for passengers who are 50 and older. Well, sorry, they is the CDC. The cruise lines are not talking about that second booster. So Gordon and I are going to get ours because they recommend it for people who are 50 and older 6 months from your first booster. And so like we got ours November 11th, so we're going to get ours in May before we go on our next cruise, and we're going to get it as close to the 11th as I can so that I get that. We can both get a little boost of a little bit more immunity there. But the cruise lines are not talking about that second booster. So if you've got a cruise cruise that is going to the United Kingdom or to Europe right now, you just need to be worried about having that first booster, okay, if your vaccine is over 90 days. Okay, I wanted to make sure that everybody is clear on that. And just like the other ones, you're going to need to show proof of that at embarkation. You're going to need to show proof of your negative COVID test. That's on all of those sailings. They also say that for sailings that depart from the United Kingdom and from Europe on or after May 7th, the definition of fully vaccinated is at least 14 days past the completion of your primary vaccine series. So that is the first 2 vaccines you got, or if you got the Johnson & Johnson, the first one you got, and no more than 270 days or 9 months since receiving the last dose of the vaccine series. A booster dose is required for guests ages 12 and older whose final dose of the approved COVID-19 vaccine, like I just told you, is older than 9 months or 270 days to be considered fully vaccinated. So that's what fully vaccinated is on these sailings from the UK and Europe. Alrighty. The next thing that we've got an update on, and well, this isn't really an update, just to make sure everybody knows if you were thinking about this, as with the sailings from the US and Canada, having proof of recovery of COVID or having a blood antigen test does not take the place of being vaccinated. So make sure that you're aware of that. They do offer some vaccination exemptions on these, just like we're hearing on the other cruises. And it says we manage in a small number of exemptions for guests who are ineligible for vaccines and subject to the regulations of the port they visit. And those exemptions come on a first come first served basis. So if you've not asked for one yet, probably zip along and do that. And then once again, they remind you that you need to call Princess in order to start that process. Now, as far as testing requirements go, they are a little bit different as far as how you're going to get your test at the port in the UK and in Canada. So, I mean in Europe. So let me tell you here what the UK says. So they say that for the vaccinations, first of all, for both kinds of sailings, if you are fully vaccinated, you get to have, it says, receiving primary series of COVID vaccines with at least your final dose 14 days before sailing. So in other words, if you don't have a booster, you get 2 days for your antigen, 3 days for your PCR. If you have gotten your COVID vaccines and your booster, you get 3 days for the antigen and 3 days for the PCR test. Once again, if you're not vaccinated, you got 3 days for your PCR test. And in the UK, they are offering testing at the terminal for you. And it says, for those that wish to take advantage, a fee of $60 will be added to your stateroom charges to take care of that. We had a Let's Go family member let us know that 2 weeks ago, when they departed from the port there in Southampton, that the testing was free. I don't know if it is still free. I'd love to hear from anyone sailing on those cruises, but at least then it was free, but otherwise it was $60. And I think $60 is really actually quite competitive on what we're hearing on testing prices. So that's what they've got set up in place there in the port in Southampton. For the port in Europe, for the ports that are there, they also have the same testing requirement that I just told you, the 2 days if you're vaccinated for the antigen, 3 days if you've got your booster, and 3 days for PCR for both. And once again, those are listed in days, not in hours. And they say that at the terminal, you'll be able to get tested. We understand that it might be hard for people trying to get a test there. So for the departures from Europe, they are currently offering complimentary antigen tests at the terminal. And so that is awesome. If you're sailing from Europe, you can quit worrying about where you're going to get your test. You can get just tested at the port for free. Okay, so that includes Rome, Barcelona, Athens, and Copenhagen are the main ports that Princess is sailing from this summer. So you are covered now. And then I am still going to do my eye health tests at the hotel there in Rome and let y'all know if they accept that, because that'll just be helpful knowledge rolling forward. Also, I forgot to tell you this, but for your UK guests, if you're right there and you live in the UK, they are also reminding everyone that they've got the medically supervised at-home antigen test through Prenetics, Prenetics, that you can order and do that at home if you would like. It says that they cost 30 pounds. Okay, and that's just, it says prenetics.com. So just search for that and you can do it there. I think that that is all we've got. The masking requirements are the same, like I said, for all of the cruises, as are the requirements for everyone who is not vaccinated. So I am going to do a live whenever I can and just be here for a while so that people can ask questions. With having our family here, I'm not sure what time that's going to be, but if I can do it today, I will. Otherwise, I'm going to do it another day when I can, so that I can just let everybody ask all the questions they have. In case I don't get to do that as soon as I would like, please start putting your questions in the comments. Either I will pick it up, or someone else that has had that experience will pick it up, or if I get lots of them, I will talk about it in my video upcoming. So just other than that, let me know if any of these are surprises to you. Let me know if any of this, I keep wondering how many of you are choosing to wait a little bit longer to sail, what is going on with the protocols, or if you're like, I am going and I'm going to go through whatever it takes to get on that ship, which is the bucket I am in, Gordon and I. We just really are so excited to go on our cruise at the end of May. So like I said, I'd love to hear from all of you, and also let me know anything else that's on your mind. I would really like to hear about that. So if you've got any questions, put them below. If you appreciate these updates, would you please give this a thumbs up, because it really helps us out. It just lets YouTube see that someone likes our videos here and offers it to more people. So I will be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.